So here I am, reflecting on week number 6, and this is the last time, hopefully, I can say that I will just be a visitor in someone's classroom, and from now on I'll only have my own classroom. Granted, my placement, I still have a cooperating teacher, and it is her classroom, but it's now my turn to fully take over. So, this is a monumental weekend. I'm a little nervous, but... So, as you can see from the image of above, there is a large stack of papers, and there are approximately, I think, about 1,000 plus pieces of white paper in that stack. And that stack of papers is only going to get my students through Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I still have not copied Thursday and Friday for reasons I'll explain later. So, I had copied a few things at the high school, but I hadn't really been copying that much the past few weeks. We only have had a few things to copy, and my teacher's taking care of that. But I definitely had done my fair share of copying when I was in my fall internship. I copied not only for my teacher, but I copied for the teacher she worked with. So I had done my fair share of copying. I was aware of how to make double-sided copies, and I've made ones before in summer school where you could staple them, and I can even make transparencies, so I wasn't worried about making the copies. So I got there to school today, and I knew the first thing I was going to do is I was just going to take my day one packet with the notes and start making the copies. The notes, since they're going to be a major part of the student's grade, was 7 pages long, so that was going to take some time to copy. So I decided I have 5 classes, 118 students, I'm going to do 20 at a time. So I put the 7 sheets in, and that's going smoothly, and no one's in the copy room with me, so I decided I'm going to take over another copier machine, because there's 4. So I put that through. Well, as soon as I put that second set through, about 4 teachers come in and start giving me dirty looks. So then they give me the attitude, well, are you going to be long? And yeah, I am going to be long, but I have just as much as right as you do to be there. So instead of causing any problems, I pressed reset and canceled one machine, which left me with like 5 undone copies, which was a waste of paper. And this morning when I first walked in, there was only 3 packets of paper left in the filing cabinet. So I'm like, great, this is going to stink. I have to make this many copies, and there's only about 900 sheets of paper left in the high school. So I continued to copy until my planning period was over and got most of the notes done. Ordered them, stapled them. I had like 60 done by first period. So that was I thought about it all day. I'm like, man, I don't really want to go back in there. The teachers were kind of mean. That wasn't like that in my internship. What happens if we run out of paper? I'm going to have to come in like super, super early on Monday, hope they got paper and no one wanted to fight me. So 5th period rolls around and there's no one in there, so I go to town. I pretty much had I had 3 out of the 4 copiers going. I printed out all my stuff for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And as I'm sitting there, I'm like, wow, this is a lot of paper. Is this paper really needed? Can I make them do this on loose leaf paper? But I came to the conclusion that my kids barely ever bring a notebook, so I feel that I want them to do this, so I am going to take the time to use the paper. So you can see in the image there is approximately, I'd say, 1,000 sheets of paper there. I tried to, go green, since we all know that that's what I should be doing based on the way I voted in the election, but based on how I printed today, you wouldn't think I'd follow that path. But I realized that it's something I have to do. I'm kind of nervous if that's all I use for 3 days, how much would I do if I would have done the whole week? What's going to happen at the end of the month? How many sheets of paper am I really going to use? I understand that, I am fortunate enough to be in a location where paper is probably not an issue, but what happens in the future when I need to make copies and my kids don't have their own resources? Am I going to have to put make copies and pay for them out of my own pocket? Can I make transparencies and just expect students to write them down? I feel like since I'm asking these kids to hand these things in for a grade, it should be my responsibility to make the copies so that they do, and they can do it, and they will have it. But at the same time, half the things that we hand out to them, they just leave on their desk. So I'm kind of confused about the whole paper thing. By the end of the day, I didn't really feel as bad as I did in the morning. I realized that I have just enough right being in that copier room as anybody else. Maybe I shouldn't be a copier hog and only use one instead of two. But I'm interested to see how many sheets of paper I really am going to use. I think in my internship in the fall they used a lot of paper, but since it wasn't really my class, I didn't feel fully responsible. But since I've created these lessons, I'm the one that's using the paper. I'm making the copies. I'm the one that's handing it out. I'm kind of worried. It made me stop and think. I know we talked at the beginning of the year that some places limit your amount of paper or certain days, so I'm kind of nervous. Hopefully no one will catch me, but so yeah, that's my hand on 1,000 pieces of paper. We have our notes, my syllabus, Just Do It for 3 days, a wanted poster, assignment, and the rubric. And one day, to try and conserve paper, I put the Just Do It on the front and the exit slip on the back. My kids don't really care, so I know they're not going to flip over to be curious to see what else is to come. And even if they do, there's not much on the sheet that it will give it away. So, yeah. So that's about it. You can look into that and say that I felt like I killed half the rainforest today. But I guess that's just one aspect or role of being a teacher. You don't just provide learning, you kill trees. I'm going to evaluate if kids don't do them and don't hand them in and they are laying on the floor, then I will make them bring in their own paper, and if they don't bring it in, that's not my problem. They're not prepared, and they'll just get a 0 for that assignment. But it was an interesting day, and it's the first time I really thought about using paper. So on that note, hopefully I'll be as cheery and excited as I am tonight next week after a full week in the classroom.